Good morning, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, for wherever you are. Today, I'm going to talk about UX portfolio and how to maximum your portfolio with some essential tips. So I'm currently as a lead product designer at PayPal. So I have been dedicated a lot of time mentoring in UX community, including ADP list, USPA. Each year, the most request section is a portfolio review. Especially, it has been so much challenge for a lot of junior designer in the market right now. For them, having a strong portfolio can be the key to getting hired. However, with so much competition on the industry, it's harder to stand out from the crowd. So today, I would love to share four essential tips that aim to help you maximum the potential of your portfolio. Number one, build your own product. So a lot of designer didn't treat the portfolio like a art. Actually, portfolio design is more than a job hunting tool. It's the first impression of you and your design skill. So a well-designed portfolio will help you increase the chance to get an interview. So treat your portfolio like your own product. Make sure it's all well designed, clean and easy to navigate in each project. So I have seen a lot of candidates' portfolio in the past. So I found out some people's websites still use the third-party website domain. Some even has broken links. So make sure you carefully treat your own products and makes looks professional. Second, leverage the power of your blog page. So you are more than just designers. What other skill or hobbies do you like? For me, I like to cook. So I put a lot of cooking image in my portfolio. So remember that hiring manager liked to learn more about you besides of UX design. So make sure you become your own life designer first. Number two is embracing creativity. So a lot of people have questions related to the content of the website. Is there too much information? Should I remove it, make it simple? I don't think it's going people going to read it. So I got a lot of questions from this, but here's what I can tell you is nothing's too much. You should provide enough context to help people understand your work. So here's my advice. First, go express your process. Then organize your information. Keep what is the most important. So there are some technique such as highlight and bold the info you think is most important for people to read, or use a bullet point, be concise and highlight the design thinking. The most important, don't just talk. Use visual tools such as animations, image, GIF, or video to express the idea. Here's another example what I have in my work. So first, I highlight the process, how I start with the pinpoint to design opportunities. Second, add the key takeaways. The reason I add a key takeaways to help people understand what I learned in this step and how it influenced the next phase of my design process. This is also help the hiring managers to understand how your design thoughts going. And this another example use the visual aid. So I have a lot of image next to what I want to express. And we see it's always about balance. So I saw a lot of people's websites all about image. Some people websites all about text. So you don't want to, your work all about image or about text. You don't want your work is just like, hard to read. So be smart about it and then make sure it's all balanced well. So number three is the power of the storytelling. So storytelling is the key to make your portfolio stand out and engage potential employers. So I noticed a lot of designers' work is pretty interested, but the story is not good enough to make stand out. So here is what you need to think to do. First, start with the problem statements. Make sure you state that in the first. People know what you are facing. Second, please think something different besides of the linear storytelling. So what I mean by that is a lot of people's case study with the problems to research to design. I mean, it makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense because you're making everything looks too perfect. However, UX is not about perfect. You can do, I would say, more than three research to redefine the problems. You may encounter some challenges during the design process that require you to jump back to not do another research. So what I want to see here is to make sure show your unique of your work, but also it has to make sense. And here's an example. So for start with the problem statements, I have this here for people to jump easily understand the problem that I'm facing. Here's another example for storytelling. I had one case study that I have to do another round of US research to figure out what went wrong. But that's the most interesting part I did because I learned so much during the iterating process, and especially when I redefine the problems or refine the problem statement. As what I previously mentioned, it has to be make sense. So if you didn't do second round research, you shouldn't include it because all the work you did is for create the better solution and show people your design thinking. I'm pretty much sure when you're doing your work, you have something special and challenge in your mind that you can showcase to further demonstrate your design thinking. And finally, show the impact. Who you work with, what's the result, and what's the next step. How your work impact your final design. And make sure you have evidence to show that because that is important. Not only show you are a great designer, but also you have ability to influence your design and to make it pass to the next level. Tip number 4, uniqueness in your case study. So everyone's work is unique, and showing your unique work is super important. And your portfolio should make people remember you. Be creative and use all point to I previously mentioned that to make it for the best. Some key mindset over here, lace your advantage. If you're good about research, think how you can show it in front of the audience. If you're good for design system, make sure you show it out. So be confident and be bold. I would say it's always past you to think about those kind of mindset in your mind. And finally, I want to provide a fantastic resources. Uh, I know I know a lot of designers use. I know a lot of research use, and also I provide all this great resources to my mentees in the mentorship programs. So it's a called cophoto.com. So in this website, a lot of the designers post their portfolio in there, and most of them from like the tech companies. So I view a lot of designers' work. They are pretty interested. The reason why I share is I want all of you who are not really sure what you're going to do for portfolios to observe their work, to observe all this design process they have. And then easily you can just copy some mindset in your works. Most important part is to make sure you understand your own advantage, you show uniqueness and show impact and show everything about you. And that is how you maximize your potential work and to get potential hired in the future opportunities. And that's all I want to share today. And really thank you for your listening. And I hope all these tips help you to mirror your portfolio design and best luck for your job hunting. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. It was kind of it really sings home to me because I actually end up looking at a lot of portfolios, and there's a couple of things that you realize that the person hasn't thought about the customer of the portfolio. They're not treating it like a product. So by
Exactly.
taking that kind of different view of your portfolio, you can make it a lot more effective. So thank you for sharing that. And if anybody has any questions, please do post them on whichever channel you're watching on, and I'll pass it through to Jason. One of the things that always I struggle with when looking at it is what was the relative contribution of the person? Because it's all great having this amazing case study, but
Yeah.
as a person looking at the portfolio, I always struggle to figure out how much did Jason contribute to this versus the rest of the entire team. So just kind of how do you think people can convey that information a bit more?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a lot of problem is like, a lot of case study that are showing you as a designer, but you involve so much, right? It's pretty normal, I would say. But I would say is you definitely need to highlight yourself. You should first you have to make sure you understand who you really are. Are you a designer? Are you a researcher? On what kind of like work you are doing and what kind of role you are looking for, right? If you are researcher and you're looking for UX research job, you should definitely highlight more important of the research side. But if you're like a product designer, do design, visual research, you should highlight the more important about like the uniqueness and challenge part of your piece. So like what is the one single feature that involve most and make most impacted? And it can be a small feature, it can be a big feature, it can be something like, you never sold before. So highlight this in front of everybody, because people already know you are a great designer, you know how to design, but they want to know more about why you are different than other people and what unique skill you have. So use the technique I mentioned, highlight it and bold it, and even you can add animated or videos. Don't be afraid, just like people don't watch it. If I'm a hiring manager, I actually watch a lot of video people share on the portfolio. I learned so much in their works. So it's better help me understand, okay, if this person is something like I'm looking for my team or not. So I think is that's super important, and you always have to think about it before you start making your portfolio and list everything, and make sure you don't just like follow a linear process to talk about your self works. Yeah,
And the other question I have is just around the soft skills,
yeah,
because they're often as important in how effective
yes.
somebody can be in the delivery of their job. Do you have any recommendations on, because it's a very hard thing to convey your kind of communication skills, or everybody lists down great communicator and things
Mhm.
like that. But is there anything advice that you can give people that can take it to the next level and really showcase their skills?
Yeah, for soft skills like communication and collaboration part, I would say there's two ways you can convert this as skill, during the interview or your portfolio. The portfolio, I always suggest people just like make sure you have some image, you have something to relate to your soft skill. Like if you are collaborate with the US research, a product designer, another product designer, product manager, stakeholders, make sure you highlight it and how you work with them and how you actually highlight this process. So it is more important, just like you need to balance a little bit more. So you don't want to show everything about how you work with the product managers without showing a lot of design process, but you also don't want to show like, okay, it's a design process. And then people feel like, are you a lonely designer? Are you a solo designer? I'm not really sure. So at least have something. It can be, what I mentioned is everyone just like, I need to have something is a perfect example. Actually, no, there's no perfect example. I had a lot of cases just like people have struggling in working with the product manager and finding the solutions, have struggling, convert the idea to a stakeholders, engineering partners. Is something like they don't like to talk about it, but that's part is the most interesting part. Like you should mention, because everything is not perfect. A lot of people want to make everything perfect, but I will tell you, nothing's perfect. I'm really interested in how you solve this challenge. And another way you can cover this soft skill is during the interview and portfolio review process. That's the more direct way, because people you interact with, they can quickly understand your communication skill. Are you, a good communicators? Show more about this. Talk more and not just talking about your case. So I would say that's two way you can actually convert this kind of information during the interview, or of making a portfolio. I think it's really efficient and it really work well. Yeah.
Excellent. That's some great advice there.
Yeah.
We have a question from Cindy. She's saying, and I really like this question because it's framing, if we treat it as a product, what
Mhm.
are our success metrics? Because you tend to need to iterate on your product to get it right. So what are the metrics that we can use to validate that our product is working?
Yeah, I would say, so, not I would say treat the product database like, you have to make sure your product is perfect or whatever like this. Of course, measure the metrics is important, especially I would suggest you to find a mentor to to present your video work, to present the work in front of them, because a lot of people just like don't really practice and then go to the interview. And I think getting the feedback is so much important. Getting feedback for projects is important, but also getting feedback from a case, I mean, the portfolio website is also important. I think a lot of people just want to show a case study, but without presenting who you are first. So I think the way you can measure is definitely to finding a mentor, or you finding a professional people to constantly provide you advice, and then you use the advice to practice for interview and to gather more feedback, and then you make sure you're iterating your product. Like you always change your products, change your image, change how you lay out this. I always a lot of questions like, what kind of product should I, case study should I put on my portfolio? I'll have like a 1,000 case study, that's the sense is like you need to make sure you understand like what case study you want to use to make your works looks amazing, to make your portfolio looks amazing, and more important is to observe people, how people interact with your portfolio. And I think I got a lot of questions like, oh, I think, should I put over there, should I put over there? I was like, I don't know, observe it, send this to your friends, send it to your professors, send this to another people, let them to see if they have any trouble to see your case study, if they have any trouble to understanding, like, are you a designer or research? So everything is like, all these resources available for you, especially, we have so much resources right now, and you definitely can find out a way to, continue eating really more about your case study, more important for your portfolio at all, to show more of your, outstanding skills you have. So that's kind of my, thought process for this. I know there's, a lot of kind of feedbacks for me during my, career journey, like how I design portfolio. I would say there's no like right or wrong. So it's always about, what is best for you, I would say. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, as you were explaining that, I was thinking of the analogy of like, we're not, it's not a B2C product. It's not like where you're going to collect massive amounts of data. It's more of a niche B2B product where you have to go in and do targeted interviews to validate the effectiveness of your product. So
Exactly.
yeah, if anybody, I don't have any more questions coming in. So I would like to thank you. I thought that was a really interesting topic and timely at the moment, because unfortunately we know the market isn't as great as it was a few years ago. So hopefully some people out there can get some tips and help improve their portfolios. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.